We need food to survive. I'm sure you've heard this statement before. However, how exactly is food used by our bodies? I mean, it tastes good, but is there more to it than that? The nutrients from food are utilized by our bodies to maintain bodily functions, repair the body, and recharge. In this system of food getting utilized by the body, insulin plays a critical role. But what if the insulin started to lose its effectiveness? Our survival itself can get compromised. In this video, we're going to look at what insulin resistance is, its causes, and 5 major signs to tell if you might have it. Let's start with the basics. What is insulin resistance? Insulin is a hormone released by the pancreas that allows the passage of glucose or sugars from the bloodstream into the muscle, fat, and liver cells. The carbohydrates in food are converted into glucose. When this glucose enters the bloodstream, it raises the blood glucose level, which triggers the pancreas to release insulin. It allows the passage of glucose from the bloodstream into the cells of the body and also into the liver for storage. As the glucose gets used up, the blood sugar levels drop, and so does the production of insulin. This is the normal mechanism where the body is not resistant to insulin. Insulin resistance is the condition where the body doesn't respond to the same amounts of insulin that it used to, meaning that to maintain the same amount of blood sugar level, the body needs to release a lot more insulin. As you start becoming more and more resistant, it becomes increasingly difficult for the pancreas to keep up with the increased blood sugar levels. There comes a time when the pancreas throws in the towel and is unable to produce enough insulin. This leads to a consistently high level of blood sugar, which is characterized by prediabetes and full-blown type 2 diabetes. Another question that might be popping in your head might be, why does the body become insulin resistant in the first place? Many factors can lead to insulin resistance, obesity and extra weight being the most prominent ones. Excess body fat increases the levels of free fatty acids in the blood, which according to various studies has been linked with stopping cells from responding properly to insulin. The belly fat, called visceral fat, is particularly dangerous as it releases free fatty acids and inflammatory hormones into the bloodstream that contribute to the insulin resistance. Other possible causes include high intake of fructose from added sugars, increased oxidative stress and inflammation, lack of physical activity, old age, hormones, steroid use, poor sleep, smoking. Insulin resistance is incredibly common in the U.S., with 32.2% of the population currently suffering from it. This further increases to 44% in women with obesity. With numbers like these, there's a high probability that you might also be suffering from this. But how can you tell if you have it or not? The best way to diagnose insulin resistance is to have a doctor who will perform several tests. One of the more commonly prescribed tests is the HOMA-IR, which estimates insulin resistance from insulin and blood sugar levels. Other than these tests, several signs and symptoms can also give away insulin resistance. Let's look at the 5 most common signs of insulin resistance. Number 1. A large waist. If your belly fat reserves just keep piling and you're not necessarily overeating, then it is a big sign that you might be insulin resistant. But how does insulin resistance tie up with belly fat? Well, as your body becomes resistant to insulin, the blood sugar levels increase, and to match that, the pancreas increases the production of insulin. That works fine to lower the blood sugar levels, but there's a side effect. The excess amount of insulin promotes the conversion of glucose into fat. So if your waistline has become too big for your pants recently, then you might want to get yourself checked for insulin resistance. What waist should ring the emergency alarm? Usually a waist of 40 inches for men and 35 inches for women is considered problematic, and insulin resistance might be the culprit behind it. Number 2. Never satisfying hunger. Hunger is a sign that your body has burned through your fuel tank and now needs refueling. So when you eat food, the energy production begins again and the feeling of hunger goes away, except for people with insulin resistance, it doesn't. As we said before, insulin resistance means that the body doesn't respond to the levels of insulin that it used to. So a large amount of insulin is required to maintain the same blood sugar level. Over time, as insulin resistance increases, the demand becomes too much for the pancreas to handle, and so the blood sugar levels rise. The glucose floating around in the blood is of no use to us unless it enters into the cells. So despite what you eat, if the glucose stays in the blood, then you won't be able to satisfy your hunger. These hunger pangs usually start within half an hour of eating the meal, and sugar cravings are especially strong. The unsatiated hunger is also accompanied by a constant lethargy and tiredness, due to a lack of nutrient absorption. Number 3. Dark skin patches. Another warning sign of insulin resistance is a condition called acanthosis nigricans. It is a skin condition in which patches of dark skin form under the armpits, on the back of the neck, on elbows, knees, ankles, or the knuckles. According to experts, insulin activates insulin-like growth factor 1 receptors on certain skin cell types, called keratinocytes and fibroblasts. These receptors then contribute to the dark skin patches. Unfortunately, there's no cure for this condition and you'll have to live with it. Number 4. Frequent urination and extreme thirst. Frequent urination on one hand is annoying, and on the other is a clear sign that something is wrong with your blood. Since high blood sugar is toxic and can damage the organs, the kidneys take it upon themselves to clear the blood off of excess sugar. That explains the frequent urination, and what comes naturally with frequent urination is the extreme thirst to replace the lost fluids. Number 5. Metabolic Syndrome. Finally, metabolic syndrome is another strong indicator of insulin resistance. Some of the markers of metabolic syndrome include 1. Excess abdominal fat. 2. High levels of triglyceride, around 150 or higher. 3. Low HDL, or good cholesterol, below 50 for women and below 40 for men. 4. High blood pressure, around 130 over 85 millimeters of mercury or higher. And 5. A high fasting blood sugar, between 100 to 125 milligrams per deciliter for prediabetes and above 125 for diabetes. If you satisfy any 3 of these markers, then you are suffering from metabolic syndrome, which creates insulin resistance. If you've seen some of these signals lately manifesting in you, then most probably insulin resistance has already started to disrupt your body's natural sugar cycle. But if you haven't been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes yet, then there's still time to stop yourself from falling into the pit. It turns out that you don't have to do anything fancy to reduce insulin resistance. Simple lifestyle changes are the most effective way of going about it. Let's look at only 3 lifestyle changes that can put you back on track with a healthy life. Number 1. Follow low-carb diet. If the symptoms match and you found that you've developed insulin resistance to some degree, then the first thing you should do is reduce carbohydrates from your diet. Carbohydrates are converted directly into glucose, which your body doesn't seem to be handling so well. So instead, go for a low-carb diet, like the keto diet, where the majority of the calories come from fat and proteins. By the way, we have done a complete video on the keto diet. If you'd like to check that out, then the link's in the description. Number 2. Eat less frequently. Another lifestyle change that has done wonders for many is to increase the time between meals. It is known as intermittent fasting, where you eat in a certain interval of the day and fast in the remaining. Fasting reduces the blood sugar levels like nothing else, and so it gives much needed rest to the pancreas, which can help with insulin resistance. Number 3. Lose weight and exercise. As we said, excess fat is a risk factor of insulin resistance, so losing that excess fat should take priority for you. And you don't need to lose a whole lot to free yourself from the clutches of type 2 diabetes. A study found that losing just 9% of excess weight can reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes by 58%. Similarly, making exercise a part of your daily routine can also work wonders for you. Regularly engaging in moderate exercise can increase glucose energy usage and improve muscle insulin sensitivity. Finally, to summarize, insulin is a hormone that is released by the pancreas. Insulin allows the muscles, liver, and fat cells to take up glucose from the bloodstream, thus lowering the blood glucose levels. If due to any reason, the body starts resisting insulin and starts requiring a greater amount of it to maintain the same blood sugar levels, then this is known as insulin resistance. If the load on the pancreas continues to increase, then there comes a time when the pancreas cannot keep up with the demand, and it damages the pancreas, causing a drop in insulin levels. This causes blood sugar levels to rise, which can lead to some serious problems, including type 2 diabetes. Some of the signs of insulin resistance include a large waist, dark skin patches, and metabolic syndrome, among others. If you observe one or more of these signs, then it is time to make some lifestyle changes, like eating a low-carb diet, intermittent fasting, and exercise regularly. These lifestyle changes can decrease insulin resistance and prevent you from developing type 2 diabetes. We hope that you benefited from this video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video with your friends and family. Want to see more videos like this one? Please subscribe to our channel, Welcome to Wellness, and press that bell icon as well so you never miss another video. We'll see you in another healthy video. Until then, take care.